Welcome once again to another edition of Quoth the Raven, Lewis Bright Raven. Today is Monday, September 27th, 2021, and we're going to be talking about previews today. Newest edition that came out last week, came out a week early this month. It's featuring cool Stanley Art Germ Lau cover of Cowboy Bebop from Titan Comics, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. My lighting is a little bit crazy today. Sorry about the brightness. It's coming from my outside light, and I just, let sunlight coming in. But if I have it down, it won't give me any light. We'll be in the darkness, so I don't want that. But I hope you're having a good day today. And I don't know what all we're going to be doing. Tomorrow we were supposed to have another episode, but we're not going to have it tomorrow. On Tuesday it looks like. So I'll be readjusting schedule. I'll let you guys know a little more about that later in the show. But first, let's go ahead and talk about preview catalog. This is the cover, of course. It was in stores last week, September 23rd. One-stop shopping catalog for the Diamond Comics market, representing the quote-unquote majority of the so-called mainstream comic scene. In other words, 8% of comic books produced in North America. The other 92% of us are undergrounds and print-on-demand and digital and crowdfunded. But let's see how much of that content actually interests me this month, if you will. Let's start with Image Comics. December is sort of a slim pickings for most publishers this season. And I do think Image is trying to put a good foot forward this month. It has 4 new series number ones and an original graphic novel among their offerings. But the majority of their products being offered this month are backlist books, but that's typical for December at the end of the year, to be honest. So and you'll see a lot of that throughout the book this month. But let's take a look at some of those new number 1 issues. And before we do that, I have to do something real quick. Sorry about that, folks. Let me go ahead and share something real quick. Most people aren't going to be watching the episode anyway on live because of the time I'm airing today, but that's okay. I still need to let people know it's on and let them know I'm out there today. But just a second here. There we go. Almost everyone that normally watches. There we go. All right. Everybody's been sent their attachment to the link. Most of them are already subscribing. They already know, but just in case. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at the new number 1s from Image. First, Lady Mechanica, the Monster of the Ministry of Hell, number 104, $3.99 on page 34 of the catalog. What it's about: in a Victorian asylum full of grotesque inmates, sadistic guards, and a fanatical doctor, a young lady wakes to find her arms and legs have been replaced with mechanical limbs. But who among this gruesome menagerie is the true monster of the Ministry of Hell? The origins of the notorious adventuress known as Lady Mechanica. My thoughts are this might be the right project to introduce this property to new readers, but hasn't this character already been around for 7 or 8 different miniseries already? Shouldn't the origin story have already been told by now? So I have to admit that kind of strikes me as a little bit odd, but Again, if this, this is probably if you want to try and get new readers into this is probably the project to do it with. So, retailers might want to pay attention to this one and try and get the, people into that and and do the backlist on the collections of the trades for the rest of the series. The next book is The Scorched, #1, $5.99 on page 38. This is the first all-new issue of Todd McFarlane's superhero team book. I didn't know there was all old issues of Todd McFarlane's superhero team book, but whatever. Apparently, there's a threat that's so big that no single hero can stop it, and the formation of this new supergroup is the only thing standing in its way. The members will include Spawn, the Redeemer, the Gunslinger, Medieval Spawn, and She-Spawn. And many more heroes are waiting in the wings. Join the battle of this first issue extravaganza as the forces of heaven, hell, and earth collide. What I think, meh. If you're a McFarlaneverse fan, this might be up your alley, but if you're not into the McFarlaneverse, I don't see where this is going to really interest people necessarily. It's just there. They also have King of Spies, #1 of 4 for $4.99 on page 42. And what it's about, the world's greatest secret agent has 6 months to live. Does he die quietly in a hospital bed, or does he make up for a lifetime of bad decisions? He's been propping up an unfair system for over 40 years, and he knows where all the bodies are buried, and he has nothing left to lose. So he turns his guns on everyone who's ever made a buck creating the mess that we're in right now. It sounds like an interesting premise to me, but knowing that it's written by Mark Millar, I don't think the characters will be turning guns on the proper parties, analogies or not. They tend to put the blame, when people do political comics like this, they tend to put blame on the wrong people. So I'm probably not that interested in this. It's like I said, it's an interesting premise, but I just don't trust Miller to deliver it the way I would want to deliver me something that I'd want to read. I should put it that way. But if you like Mark Miller, this would probably be for you. Next book is Stray Dogs Dog Days, #1 of 2 for $4.99 on page 46. And what it's about, it's a series of vicious short stories howling straight out of the pages of Stray Dogs, 2021 surprise cartoon horror smash hit. In Dog Days, each stray dog gets to have their moment to shine, and questions will be answered, mysteries will be solved, and old wounds will be torn open. Starting this December, every dog has its day. I do like the Creep Show cover B, the homage to the Creep Show cover. That's kind of cool. The main cover A, I don't know what to think of that. Broken dog sitting, photo shattered with the dog sitting in a tub with a screwdriver with the blood stains on it and blood everywhere. I don't know. I don't know what to think of that, but it's an interesting premise. The only hesitation I have in recommending it is that I do suspect if you haven't read the previous Stray Dog stories, it might not be strong enough of a standalone because you won't know what the characters are. So if you're going to get this, make sure you get the previous series so you know what the characters are and what the story's about. The next book the Image offers is Leon, Notes on a Life. It's an original graphic novel, trade paperback, $16.99 on page 48. Acclaimed creator Carmine Di Giandomenico, who apparently writes The Flash and Daredevil battling Jack Murdock, no idea, and rising star artist Francesco Colafella present the true story of Leon, an Italian man who immigrated to the United States to find fortune, freedom, and jazz, and then left the U.S. again to save lives. From the stage of his last concert in New York City through the sound of his trumpet, Leon recounts his past and his future in an emotional, non-linear memoir made of music and memories. I think this should be a solid book. I'm not sure it's to my personal interest, but I will give it a look should my retailer order it for the store, certainly. And I would, anybody who's into music, people like my friend John Norris, Figaro, Tracy Hollingsworth, anybody who's a musician, I think might want to take a close look at this online a little bit and see if it's possibly something that might interest you. Because that's, kind of where I think this goes, is the nuances of his life, not just as a musician, but as what he's trying to do later in the story with saving different lives. I'm not going to get into what I think what all it's about. I'm not going to get into it, but because I think I do know who this person is and what the story's about. So I think it should be a good book. Unfortunately, the only guaranteed book I'll be ordering from Image is Deep Beyond number 11 of 12 on page 59. That's the one I know I'm getting. Next, we do have What's the Furthest Place from Here, number 2 on page 77. There's 2 covers. The first one on the left is the regular cover, and then there's a cover that says Hope You Can Come Back, and you get an album. The main reason I'm mentioning this is because I mentioned it last month, and I do think it's kind of cool that the comic does have a vinyl record that go with each issue with its own soundtrack, as it were. I don't know for sure what the price is on that. Let me look it up real quick. I thought I written it on the screen, but apparently I didn't. So let's go ahead and look that up real quick. The regular comic, which is the blue on the left, is $3.99. It is a 48-page self-cover book. If you want the deluxe edition with the 7-inch record, it's $15, $14.99. So that's probably why it's missing, because I didn't remember it was 2 different price points. So again, the one that's the blue is $3.99, and the one on the right with the record is $14.99. And that's pretty much it for Image. Let's move on to Dark Horse. Dark Horse is celebrating their 35th year in the business, and it's quite the achievement. Here we are at the end of the year. I don't know if they're celebrating it this year as the 35th. I think that's correct. Yeah, they started in '86. This would be the last month of the last part of the year of their 35th year. Publisher Mike Richardson is probably feeling his age creeping slowly upon him as key players of the company's history, people like Randy Stradley and Diana Schutz, have been retiring from the industry of recent months. Couple this with recent events of licenses Dark Horse has enjoyed for decades being pulled out from under them by Disney when they acquired Marvel. And I have to admit that there are times where I wonder how much longer the company is going to be with us. I don't know. I'm not saying they're going anywhere. It just seems sometimes that, as the key principal players who founded and have run this company leave into retirement. I'm not saying they aren't leaving it in good hands, but eventually it's going to shift focus if Mike does seem to pass the baton, as it were. That being said, Richardson does seem to be promoting smartly within their ranks. I see a lot of people who are getting dismissed and people who are getting promoted from inside their ranks, and they're doing a respectable job, and they're making some interesting moves as to what they are picking up for new licenses. So let's see what they have to offer us this go round. They have the Icon, number 1 of 4, for $3.99 on page 80. And what it's about is 25 years ago, a genuine masked hero came out of nowhere to declare war on crime. All of America celebrated the exploits of this black-clad vigilante as he took down one lawbreaker after another, and then he disappeared. But when down on his luck, investigator Jake Stevens is hired to find the long missing Dark Avenger, his inquiries threaten to expose the myth behind the mask. This is written by Mike Richardson and illustrated by Jordi Armengol. To be honest, this really isn't my thing. We've seen this concept before plenty of times. Didn't even need to call this the Icon. I mean, they could have done this with the X character from Comics Greatest World. They could have done this with 2 or 3 other previous Dark Horse characters. So I'm not really sure. You know, this story could have been told with a lot of different things that they've done already. So I'm not really sure what to think of this one. But, you know, we'll look at it maybe when it comes in the store. And if it really grabs my attention when I see it in the store, maybe I'll get it. There is Daisy #1. And that's of 5 issues, $3.99. It's page 82. A desperate mother's 5-year search for her missing son leads her to the small town of Bremont and to the mysterious Phillips family. Daisy Phillips, like many teenagers, has a hard time fitting in, but not for the usual reasons. Daisy stands 8.5 feet tall and is still growing, but her troubles with ill health, daily ridicule, and custom-made clothing are only the tip of the iceberg, for Daisy may well be descended from a race of cannibalistic giants that spawned from the outcasts of heaven. I'm going to check this out when it comes out. I'm not pre-ordering it, but I am going to look at it when it comes out, just because it does seem interesting to me. I'm just not quite sold on enough to pre-order it. There is Snow Angels, trade paperback, volume 1, 1999, on page 84. And this is by Jeff Lemire and Jock as the artist. What it's about: Milliken and May have never left the trench. It's all they've ever known. They were born in the trench and they'll die there, just like all their people do. The 2 girls, ages 8 and 11, are part of the trench folk, a sprawling settlement of people living inside the massive ice walls of a vast, seemingly endless frozen trench carved into the surface of an otherwise icy wasteland. The trench folk survive in this hostile world by following the 3 testaments of the trench. A lot of trench in this description. I'm just copying and pasting their own solicitation copy, folks. But anyway, the older rules, repeated like a mantra from birth to death, and those 3 testaments are: 1, you must never leave the trench. 2, the trench provides, and 3, the trench is endless. Millie and May don't really know how their people came to live here. In fact, no one does, not even their wise and gentle father. On Milliken's 12th birthday, however, their father takes 2 girls on an overnight skate down the trench in a coming-of-age ritual to teach them how to fish the frozen river, how to hunt the wild trench dogs that wander its frigid banks, and how to give proper thanks to the gods, known as the Colden Ones. It's the trip of a lifetime until the girls push beyond the borders of their humble land and awaken the trench's deadly defender, the Snowman. What follows next is an action-packed story of survival, loss, and redemption. This does collect the first 4 issues of Snow Angels that were originally printed as a digital comic on Comixology. This is the first time that they'll actually be in print. I think that I wonder how guys like Lemire are constantly being favored over writers. Don't get me wrong, Jeff is a good writer. He has a lot of good stuff out, and I can't say that he doesn't deliver a fairly consistent level of quality, but I do get tired of seeing him all of the time. I may check this book out. I might not, for that very reason. In fact, I already buy May's book, which is solicited on page 85, and I'm thinking, do I really need to buy or want to buy another Lemire book right now when he has like 6 books from Dark Horse plus books from other companies at the same time? So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. The next book is Lucky Devil, trade paperback, $19.99, on page 96. What it's about: a down on his luck schlub is possessed by a malevolent demon. Just when he thinks things can't get worse, the exorcism that tries to get rid of, that he goes under to get rid of the demon, goes wrong, and he finds that somehow, even though he's gotten rid of the demon, he's retained all of the entity's supernatural abilities and gifts. After a path of revenge on all the people who have wronged him in his life, he begins to gather worshippers and form a cult. But the legions of hell don't take kindly to this behavior, and they send demonic agents to murder their schlub-turned god before he gains too much power. What I think is the first issue came out last August, and I didn't see it, so I will have to check in my store and see if they have any left in stock to look through before I decide whether I'm going to order it. It does sound like a possibly interesting concept, but like Lemire, Cullen Bunn just puts out way too many titles, and it's very annoying, and it really puts me off and puts me in a situation where I don't really feel like supporting him, because when you have as many books as these guys do, it's just like, come on, there's got to be other people to publish. And that's, that's kind of where my stance is on that sort of thing. But, I wish these guys luck, and I don't wish them the ill will or anything. I just think it's kind of crazy that they get as much done as they do. Okay, that's all for Dark Horse. So let's go to Iew Publishing. I never really know what to think about their company. They seem to be doing well this year. Apparently, they've been losing money, but apparently the books have done well this year, which is kind of weird because of COVID. You'd think that they'd be doing weaker, but the truth is a lot of the companies are doing stronger because of COVID, because a lot of people who I guess would be spending money on other things, going out and doing things, or buying more comics because they're staying in more. But anyway, IW does have strong content, but their best books don't seem to get the attention that they should, is what I generally think of IDW. But let's see what they got there in the catalog this month. Usagi Yojimbo, The Tengu War, trade paperback from 1999 on page 108. This collects 3 different storylines. This is the collections of the most recent IDW version of Usagi Yojimbo. Of course, it is by Stan Sakai. And this is collecting the stuff that I've been reading to you guys, or not reading, but reviewing regularly for the last year. Usagi seeks out an old teacher, Sajobo, but upon finding him, learns that a new brand of Tengu mountain goblins have invaded the Western Peak. Savage and relentless, they are determined to drive the established Tengu out and prey upon the people of the area. For the first time, Usagi must ally himself with yokai against an even greater enemy in Tengu War. However, that's not the only storyline. There's also the Master of Habashima, where Usagi delivers a basket of lizards to an eccentric monk who lives on a remote island infested with snakes, where he learns that they share a history that goes back to the Great Wars and the Battle of the Adachi Plain, where Usagi became a Ronin. And it also has the Yukichi story, where Usagi encounters a young swordmaster carrying out the dying wish of his master. And Yukichi, that's the young swordmaster, must deliver his sensei's swords to his nephew Daido, who will take control of the dojo. But the pair, that's Usagi and Yukichi, must pass through a territory of a rival school intent on preventing them from completing their mission. It collects issues 15 through 21 of the all-new full-color Usagi Yojimbo series. And if you're not buying this series in singles, then get it in the trade. What are you waiting for? That's all I can really say, because this is Usagi. It is the best book, really, in mainstream comics, in my humble opinion. The next book is Bermuda, trade paperback, $17.99 on page 112. And what it's about, I've been reading this in singles, I've been reviewing it, but what it's about, there's a region in the Atlantic Ocean where planes disappear, ships are lost, and traveling souls go missing, never to be heard from again. And there's an island within this place, mysterious and uncharted, untouched by time and civilization, where all who are lost end up, human or otherwise. This is where Bermuda lives. She's 16, scrappy, and living on this insane and wondrous jungle island, fighting at every turn to survive, and it's the only life she's ever known. She can handle dinosaurs, the pirates, the crazed soldiers, the dark magicians, and the strange monsters, but the weird new kid who washes ashore will be the greatest challenge she's ever faced, because he keeps dragging her on. As he drags her on a perilous rescue mission she wants absolutely no part of, and it could wind up getting them both killed. What I think is, so far the singles have been fun. Nick Bradshaw, who's the artist, does a bang-up job on the art. The trade is going to cost less money than the singles, so if you've skipped the singles or you've missed the singles, this is your second chance. Pre-order the book. Next is Canto 3, Lionhearted, number 5 of 6 for $3.99. Page 113 of the catalog. And what it's about, Canto is bestial friend the Malarex and Alora, the warriors stand between an army on one side and Canto's oldest enemies on the other. Can Canto change the hearts of his former slavers to come to his aid against the shrouded man's forces? The danger's never been graver, but Canto will see it through. If I'm being honest, I don't like this cover. It's rather disappointing looking compared to other covers that have been done. But I've been reading the book. I know it's going to be a good story. I have no reason to stop buying it just because the cover is a little bit disappointing. Not everything's going to be a home run. So, I'm sure the story will be fine. I'll definitely be ordering that. That was all of the IDW books. Boom Studios. It was rather slim pickings this month. None of the new stuff really garnered any of my attention. Didn't really see anything I really thought was worth sharing. But I'm sure Buffy the Last Vampire Slayer on page 184 will get its fair share of orders, as will the new Firefly stuff. And if you liked my reviews of Eve by Victor Laval and Jo Mi Young on previous episodes of this channel, the trade is available on page 201 for $17.99. Well, we're going to go to Marvel Comics now. Now, as most regular viewers of the channel already know, I'm not much interested in Marvel these days. But we'll take a look anyway, because there's always possibility of something. But these are my thoughts. The Marvel event Devil's Reign, which is the stuff on the cover. And I'll go ahead and bring that up there. And see, there's the cover. It's written by Chuck Zdarsky and art by Marco Cicchetto. It really doesn't do anything for me whatsoever, but that's generally true of event stories as a whole. It's not necessarily reflective of this particular story. So I'm not saying it's going to be bad. It's just not something that I'm particularly interested in. Then there's Avengers Forever number 1 on the inside cover. And that is by Jason Aaron and Aaron Kuder. And if I'm being honest, again, the concept does intrigue me. The creative team doesn't. But then I thought about it, and this is already a concept that was already done by Kurt Busiek some 20 years ago. So it feels like just another half-hearted recyclist effort. And this is part of the reason why today's Marvel's books just don't interest me enough. The next thing they got is this huge thing going on with Spider-Man called the Spider-Man Beyond. Aunt May is back with Doc Ock. That makes me roll my eyes. It was done the first time, people. The pseudo nod to Rear Window with the movie Rear Window, great Hitchcock movie with MJ, Mary Jane, and immobilized Peter in the hospital. I just feel like this is recyclist fanfic. I cannot get into this at all. The Art Adams cover is about the only thing I can say is kind of cool. And I'll share that with you real quick. There's someone else in the hospital, and MJ and Peter have to try and figure out who it is that's going to get murdered in the hospital, basically. Um, but it's very Rear Window-ish, and I don't know. I was not really sold on it, unfortunately. Um, I wish I could say more, but moving on. Um, I do admit that Marvel is trying to get some writers I've asked for in the past. They brought in Walter Mosley to write a Thing miniseries. That started last month's previews. Number 2 is solicited in this previews. I will take a look at this miniseries, but the artist Tom Riley really isn't an artist who's grabbing my attention. I'm hoping that when it does come out in November for the first issue, I'll be pleasantly surprised when I see the actual book. I'm going to try and keep an open mind. The Wastelander subgroup of titles looks just plain stupid. The only writer I recognize from the lineup is Stephen S. Tonight, and while I did like his Buffy and Angel work for the TV series, that was 20 to 25 years ago. And I really haven't seen much of his stuff since then that really made me go, I like that. So I don't know. I'm not really sold on that. The Darkhold books, the Death of Doctor Strange books, there's a bunch of different stories revolving around that storyline. Neither of those things, that story arcs and the books show me anything. There's nobody in the creative teams or the solicitations that grabs me. And I'm just kind of trudging through the catalog. And like I said, unfortunately, really the only thing in that catalog that I'm really thinking I'm even going to really look at is that Thing miniseries. And I'm sorry. I wish there was more. But I truly do. I don't know what to tell you. I don't think it's SJWism or anything. I just think it's, like I said, a lot of this stuff is stuff that we've already seen before. And if I've already seen it once, why do I need it again? I think there's a lot of how I feel about Marvel and DC for that matter. Speaking of DC, if I'm being dismissive of Marvel, I can't say that DC is doing much better these days. Batman leaves Gotham. Woo! And we're supposed to care because it's not like you don't have a quadrillion other Bat vigilantes running around town. So, I mean, Bruce is going to leave Gotham behind. Oh, okay. I think there's plenty of people that will take care of it while he's gone. Unfortunately, they have another series called Batgirls. It's a new ongoing series. They got 2 issues coming out in December. Good writer, Becky Cloonan, writing it. Co-writing with Michael Conrad. But I'm pretty sure, Cloonan's usually got something going on that's decent as a rule. The art by Jorge Corona just isn't, or George, it's either George or Jorge. But either way, really, his art is not doing anything for me. I wish it were. It's not bad. It's kind of that funky urban graffitis type comic art. Let's see if we can share that with you guys here. Yeah, it's kind of a, it's funky looking. It's different. There's the cover to Batgirls number 2. It's different looking. It's interesting, but it's really not my thing. Here's the Batgirls number 1 cover, and it just kind of feels. I don't know. It just isn't grabbing me. I might look at it when it comes out, but I'm not pre-ordering it. I can tell you that. Apparently, Detective Comics is now weekly. It does say Shadows of the Bat Weekly begins in Detective Comics. I don't know. Maybe this is Shadows, I don't know. But there's only 2 issues solicited, 1047 and 1000 weekly. There's more than 2 weeks in the week of January, so I'm kind of confused. Is there more stuff coming out for Detective or not? That was not really clear in the book, and that kind of made me a little bit concerned, I guess you could say. The art by Ivan Reis and Danny Miki is interesting looking. Miki does change Ivan Reis's style of art quite a bit here. I think the inks are a lot different than what I'm used to seeing for Ivan Reis, but I'm not really a huge fan of Ivan Reis's art. But Miki seems to be doing a nice job on the inks, and it looks a little bit different. So maybe people will like that. Let's see. Like I said, I'm really not a fan of the Batgirls. It looks like crap to me, but I wish, it is. As I commented about recycled Marvel books, like Avengers Forever, DC does the exact same thing with books like World of Krypton. This is, where is it here? Page number 14 of the catalog. It's written by Robert Venditti with art by Michael Avon Oeming, and I'm sure that Oeming will draw a very nice drawing, but did we really need a modern retelling of this story? Byrne Mignola already did this back in back in '87, which was a revisit from the '78 to '79 series in its own way. It's kind of this situation where you're just recycling what's already been done, and I'm not really keen on that. So, I'm going to have to give it a pass, unfortunately. I do like the cover by Francesco Francavilla, and of course, I do think that there's the cover by Francavilla. It's a nice looking cover of sorts. It's an interesting robot by Kryptonian standards. And this is Avon Oeming's interior pages. And that looks nice. But again, we've seen this story how many times already? So, plus we've also had Krypton and kind of the, with the sci-fi series and stuff. We've played this out, and I don't really think we need to revisit it. Just my opinion there. But, that's kind of my thing on that. But it could be worse, I guess. I'm sure that DC will hype the heck out of DC Represent, which is their inclusive alphabet soup anthology title. But I have to say, I suspect that this book will just end up being a fodder book for comic skaters to hold up as yet another example of what's wrong in comics today. There's a lot of really good writers here represented, but and there's good artists. But I just people are going to say, what's the point? It's just another woke title or whatever. Sadly, the entire catalog, the only thing I found that I'm going to pre-order is Green Lantern #9 by Jeff Thorne and Company. And I'm getting a message from somebody else. Okay. There you go. All right, no problem. One of our regular friends just sent me a file to read, and I have to get that read and give him some feedback later on. But I just didn't know how soon he needed it. Okay. Let's go to the back to what I call the real catalog, the main thick catalog, where I might actually find some books I can recommend to folks. From Ablaze, there is the Dragon Universe, which is a collection of dragon illustrations from best fantasy artists from all over the world. It's $29.99 on page 212, as well as the Fairy Universe, which is $24.99 on page 213. I'll order the Dragon book, but I haven't made up my mind about the Fairy book yet, because the Fairy book is only by one artist, Oliver LeDroit. And it seems like if they could do a variant artist book for dragons, they should be doing it for the fairies also, because there's a lot of awesome artists who do fairy artwork, and dark fairies and stuff like that for the mythologies of that. So I found that a little bit odd, but it doesn't, LeDroit's work looks good, so I'm not going to say that, you shouldn't get it. But the Dragon one has a variety of different artists, and I just wanted to take a look at that. So, it's worth the $30. It's hardcover, so I think it's hardcover. But anyway, I'm going to be ordering the Dragon one. While I probably won't get these books myself, I should give notice about some of the newer titles from Aftershock Comics this month, or in this catalog, such as Maniac of New York, The Bronx is Burning, for $4.99 on page 220, and Tales of Mother F. Goose, one shot, for $6.99 on page 222. That is a one-shot spin-off of the Red Riding Hood stuff that Aftershock is putting out. And apparently the F is not what you think the F stands for. But it's the guy's name. It's Francis or something like that. But whatever. As I said, December does seem to be a little bit of a slow month for comics. This is possibly because everyone figures we spend our monthly budget on gifts for others during December. But conversely, what are others supposed to be buying as comic fans at the last minute? So as I perused the catalog, I really didn't see anything I'd even care to mention for another 50 to 60 pages. But we stopped at page 280, and the Masters Universe book from DK Publishing for $30 was there. I'm not a Masters Universe fan, but many comic fans are. So if you're into the classic 80s stuff, the toys, the animation, there's a lot of design art and stuff in there. That's a reference book about all that. Probably something you're going to be interested in if you're a Masters Universe fan. Fantagraphics is releasing a new edition of Beta Testing the Ongoing Apocalypse by Tom Kaczynski, which features 2 new stories specifically for this edition. It's for $24.99 on page 290. And page 291, they have a new edition of Peter Bagge's Other Lives for $17.99, which has been out of print for over a decade. So if you missed that the first time, or you've only recently discovered Peter Bagge's work, that trade might be of interest to you. This brings us next to Heavy Metal. This is issue 312, which features an interview with Jim Shooter and other content. I don't know what Shooter can say that we haven't seen or heard before, but for some reason Heavy Metal thought it was worth interviewing him. So as I regularly get this book lately in the magazine, I guess we'll see. I may also order Heavy Metal Presents Arena Mode, but I'm kind of iffy about it because it's not actually a comic. It's a prose fiction book written by Blake Northcott. I'm not really a fan of hers. I may decide to library wait on that one, see if my library gets it, or get it, pick it up later. I don't know if I'm going to pre-order it right now. It has been out apparently on digital or something like that, and it seemed to get some good reviews, won some award nominations, or maybe even some awards. So it might be decent. I don't know, but all I can go by is what I've read by Blake in comics, and wasn't too impressed by that. So I don't know. We'll see. That is the covers for the Arena Mode, and that cover does look pretty cool. And again, that's the cover for the Masters of the Universe book from DK Publishing. It's a live publishing. It has Strange Attractors #9 on page 304 for $5.99. And while I usually get all 3 covers for the series, this is the steep set cover that if you're going to order the book, I recommend you order that cover. That's the best looking one of the bunch. Over at Oni, there's a new expanded edition of Jeff Parker's Meteor Men on page 314 for $19.99. I believe, I'm not positive, I believe this was a 2015 Eisner Award nominee. So getting a new edition with an additional 20 pages of story is probably worth people's consideration. Might be pretty interesting to see where that comes from and where that's going to go. And I did order that. So these are both things I did order. Rebellion 2000 AD has the Apex edition of Brian Bowen's Judge Dredd work on page 328. It is a comic page size at 15 by 19, and it's 128 pages. $90 is a pretty substantial hit price-wise, but I guess it's comparable, assuming it's comparable in production and value, to the IWR's editions that tend to cost between $125 and $150. And if Brian Bowen's your thing, this is certainly worth your time and consideration. It's a little too steep for me. I'm probably going to pass, but I tend to pass on the IDW editions as well. So it's not really the price thing per se. It's just, I don't know. I got other things I can spend money on than to buy books of the original art, so to speak. Next is Scout Comics. I'm not exactly sure why this book seems to be solicited late, but #1 just came out last week of Impossible Jones. So be sure to check out that if you do have #1s at your local comic shop this week, if you didn't get it last week, by Carl Kiesel and David Hahn. And if you would please order this if you haven't backed it and already gotten the hardcover from Kickstarter. This is #2 of 4. It is solicited on page 332, and it'll be $3.99. Also, the last issue of Redshift #6 is also solicited on 333, and it's also $3.99. But I do love this cover. It's a nice image for the jacket, and I know people are looking in, does she have 3 arms? Yes, she has 3 arms. It's kind of a weird thing. She has, I don't want to explain the story again, but I got it and I reviewed it from Kickstarter months ago, and I loved it. So again, highly recommended for Impossible Jones. You should probably check that out. Now we got back to the cover of the book of the previous catalog, which is Titan Comics. And they did grab my attention, getting the Cowboy Bebop license, which of course is based on the new upcoming Netflix series. I'm going to get the art germ cover, $3.99, page 348. I'm probably not going to get to see the live action Cowboy Bebop because I don't have Netflix. But we'll see where it goes. And from Tomorrow's Publishing, there's back issue 133 for $9.95 on page 356. This features Starman. So there's interviews with James Robinson and Tony Harris. They also talk about the Starjammers, and they talk about other Starman-related type stuff. And I enjoyed the Starman book by Robinson. I enjoy the Starjammers. So, I'm probably going to be, I'm definitely getting the magazine. I've been getting back issue regularly for quite some time. But I'm looking pretty forward to this one. Vault Comics is next, and people might be asking, hey, how come Vault is getting a premier publisher logo treatment like some of the other major companies did? Because I feel like it. Or maybe as companies keep moving over to Random House, this might cause Diamond to give companies like Vault and Scout a higher profile. And they should get a higher profile than they're getting. I hope so. Anyway, they do have a number of books this month that might be of some interest. There's End After End, number 1 for $3.99 on page 365. There's our 2 variant covers there. And then we Ride Titans, number 1 for $3.99 on page 366. Both of those look interesting. I'll probably get both the covers on the right rather than both covers, or one on the left. But End After End is like this fantasy storyline, whereas We Are Titans is post-apocalyptic mechas. So either way, I enjoy both those things, so it should be pretty interesting. Vault also has Lunar Room. This is number 1 cover being shown, but they're actually offering number 2 for $3.99 on page 367. And this is the cover for Fox and Hare number 2 as well. And that's 4 titles right there. And there's probably more if you haven't been following the Vault title line. So you might want to check out Vault Comics and see what they had to offer. I'll probably be getting, I don't know if I'll get Fox and Hare. Lunar Room, I'm kind of waiting to see when it comes out. I'll probably pick it up off the shelf. But the other 2 I'm going to pre-order. Now we move on to the manga stuff. There's The Creator by Osamu Tezuka. That's supposed to be Tezuka, not Tezaka. By Platinum Digital Manga for $29.95, page 380. That's a multiple anthology of stories by Osamu Tezuka. For those of you who don't know who Osamu Tezuka is, that's the guy who created Astro Boy, and Atom Cat, so and other stuff like that. And I'm looking forward to getting that one. I like his work. There's Kaiju number 8, volume 1 by Naoya Matsumoto from Viz Comics for $9.99 for page 387. Fist of the North Star by Burinson and Tetsuo Hara from Viz Comics, $19.99, page 390. I'm probably not going to get Fist of the North Star because I've read it before. I don't have it in my collection anymore. I kind of want it, but I don't want it. And I didn't order the previous 2 volumes, so I think I'm just going to hold off. Maybe I'll get it at a later date. There's also Cayman Raider, the classic manga collection from 7 Seas Entertainment. It's the 50th anniversary edition for $32.99, page 409. And I think it's like 800 pages or something. So that might be worth your time. And that pretty much covers our latest previous catalog and items I think viewers of the channel might be interested in. I probably mentioned a good 50 items, but I'm actually only ordering 19 items for the month. Like I said, it's kind of a small month. December usually is at the end of the year. Again, whether that's because publishers figure people aren't buying, I don't know. Pardon me. I'm a little bit tired today. Had a 3-hour lawn mowing before I got on, so I'm a little bit wiped out. But there you go. And so that is what there is from previews this month, or for the October catalog. It's coming out in December. So tomorrow I was supposed to have episode 2 of the theme storyline, talking about some of the things that are going on with some of the Comicsgate creators and stuff. That's going to have to be put off for a little bit, unfortunately. That's because I want to do things right. I want to be fair and balanced in my presentation, and not, there are some things that have annoyed me, and I want to be, like I said, I just want to be fair and not biased in any way, if I can, with it, and be fair. So that'll probably be next week's Tuesday show instead. On Wednesday, we will have a little bit of a crowdfund exploration episode, probably in the afternoon. Thursday will be what did I get from the comic shop? I'll review my comics that I bought this week at the comic shop. And then on Saturday, not Friday, but Saturday, we will have our movie reviews. And this week will be Tenet, Gemini Man with Will Smith, and Prospect. So that's what's going on. And then on Sunday, next week Sunday afternoon, we will finish up the Cthulhu drawing that I worked on yesterday. We'll be inking this and finishing it up. Okay? So that's what we're looking at for the remainder of this week on the channel. I hope that I found you guys some stuff that maybe interests you from different publishers, stuff to check out. And in the meantime, if you liked my video or you think others might, then please hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons to continue to get content from this channel. As always, I thank you for watching and for your support. If you have questions, you can reach me at LewisBright on Facebook at Lewis.BrightRaven, on Twitter at LewisBrightRaven2. You can see some more of my artwork at deviantart.com/BrightRaven. You're watching Quoth the Raven, Lewis Bright Raven, exclusively on YouTube. If you want to commission me for artwork or you want to send me questions for a Q&A, anything like that, you can email me at quoththeravenlbr72@gmail.com. And if I don't get back to you or answer your question on the show, try me at lewisbrightraven@yahoo.com. I may have missed your email and Gmail. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one. We'll see you on Wednesday.